a lot of managers kind of ask me constantly, what are the benchmarks in our industry? I did something, I got a result. How do I know whether that's good or bad, right?
Right.
And I'm like, well, we have had hundreds of studies about how sales respond to price and to advertisers, hundreds of them. And they're all beautifully summarized, right? So if you're in a mature market for a well known brand and you drop your price by 10%, by how much do your sales increase? The
Yeah.
benchmark is 25%. 25%, right? So price is enormously effective. If you have a mature brand and you double the advertising budget without changing the message, you double the at plus 100%, your sales increase only by 5 to 10%. So
Hmm.
that's my benchmark, right? And it's across industries, across countries, and of course you can be more specific. But so when you come to me with an advertising promise that, hey, for a known product, let's say Tide, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have this campaign, give me $2 million and I'm gonna increase your sales by 50%. I'm like, oh my God, that is 10 times more than the benchmark. And it may be possible, right? But so what in your campaign, in the audience, and how you do that? And so I think that a lot of the academic work has been beautifully summarized in these benchmarks. And
Yeah.
so advertising is a weak force in the sense that it can't move your sales by that much just by increasing the spending. That doesn't mean it's not important, right? I mean, gravity is a weak force, and gravity is very important in our lives in physics. But it does put some more realistic assumptions also from your CEO about what your marketing and communication can actually do. And it's really working in cooperation with the other elements. And so as a marketer, even if you don't have decision power over new products and pricing and distribution channels, you should at least have a strong kind of foot in the door and a strong cooperation with kind of these other P's that actually have a bigger by itself power to move sales.
Yeah. So that's fascinating. So the benchmarks I would put in a category of, well, that's evidence, as
Yeah.
opposed to just the data component. So it's awesome to have that. And I didn't know those numbers, which is great. But so often you get these instances where people go, marketing doesn't work. You guys are the coloring department. Well, whatever. Like, we'll just cut the spend when things are not going well. And then when there's a panic, they're like, hey, marketing, what can you do? Right. And then so the instinct, and I've lived through this a whole bunch of times, but the instinct is, well, let's get a discount and put it out in the market. And so, other than just, and that's just our common reaction to like a market force that's happening or a market change. Is there, you mentioned price, and I'm just curious, other than, and maybe it relates to the four P's, are there other levers that you could pull aside from just putting a discount in a market that would be like kind of a checklist that you could think about?
Well, that's a really good one. So to kind of very quickly increase sales, right?
Yeah.
So well, there's this interesting part now also in business to business market that 95% of all people are not in the market for your product right now.
Right.
5% are. And I don't know how you react to that statistics, but I think virtually every marketer will be, hey, let's focus on people in the market then. whereas
Yeah.
whereas whereas Aaron Boss is like, no, you have to spend on the 95% a lot. And I'm like, well, but how much, right? So I would say kind of as spending more of your resources, shifting it to more lower funnel makes a lot of sense, right?
Hmm.
So if I have to bump my sales, instead of having to kind of pull people all through the purchase funnel, and looking for people who don't know about my brand, that I go for the hot leads. I go for the people that I see from their website behavior, or maybe from how they're interacting with my company, that are really really interested in the product, or what I'm selling, but just at the margin kind of they're a bit uncertain, or they haven't made it a priority in their budget, and those are the folks to really convince, I think, if you need an immediate bump, right? I think Seth
Hmm.
Godin calls that selling nuts to squirrels. So when you're pushed for
Hmm.
sales, you try to get more
Sorry,
sales
I
in,
love
in
that
those folks
line.
that really desperately need your product, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's an important point. On discounts, and this is something, for instance, that academia have shown, right? So in the 1980s, most of the advice was like, discounts are really bad for your brands. It makes your brand look cheap, and you shouldn't do that. And then in, I think about 1992, P&G took this all very seriously and they stopped discounting, hoping their competitors would follow. It was very publicly announced. And instead, competitors were like, thank you very much for the market share. And they actually increased their discounts. And then P&G very silently went back to discounting.
Hmm.
So virtually all my research has shown that if you're a relatively well-known brand and your discounts are usual, then it doesn't cheapen your brand image. It's only when you're kind of new to the market and you discount with like 80% that people are like, well, wait a minute, what's going on with their quality?
Yeah.
So discounts are not bad for you, and they can help you.